It was a quiet morning in a small-town diner, the kind with red leather booths, coffee cups steaming, and old country music humming softly in the background. But that peace shattered in seconds when a grown man's angry voice echoed across the room. Everyone turned to see a muscular man in a black leather jacket towering over a small, innocent boy no older than 8. The boy stood frozen, tears filling his bright blue eyes. And then, in a moment that made the whole diner gasp, the man slapped the child across the face. What the bully didn't know was that the boy's father, the man everyone in town feared, was about to walk through that door. Before we dive into this emotional story, make sure to subscribe to Kindness in Action, where real stories remind us that kindness and compassion can change lives. Don't forget to like this video if it touches your heart and share your thoughts in the comments. Your words might inspire someone today. The diner had always been a safe place where truck drivers, families, and locals came for pancakes and conversation. That morning, little Tommy sat quietly at a booth near the window, waiting for his dad to pick him up after school. His small hands played with the salt shaker as he smiled politely at the waitress who had given him a free slice of pie. Across the room, a man named Rick, a short-tempered biker known for causing trouble, was arguing with the cashier about his bill. His voice grew louder and rougher with every word. The other customers tried to ignore him, but when he caught Tommy staring, not out of judgment, but pure childlike curiosity, Rick snapped, "What are you looking at, kid?" he barked. Tommy didn't answer. He just looked down at his plate, his face turning red. But Rick wasn't done. He stomped over to the boy's table, his boots heavy on the tiled floor. "You think I'm funny?" Rick shouted. The boy shook his head, whispering, "No, sir." That "sir" should have ended it. But bullies never know when to stop. Rick grabbed the boy's shoulder and, in a burst of anger, slapped him. The sound was sharp, echoing off the diner walls. For a moment, everything went silent. Even the jukebox stopped mid-song. The waitress gasped. A couple nearby stood up, unsure what to do. The boy's eyes filled with tears, but he didn't cry. He just looked up at Rick, not with fear, but with quiet confusion. Then the front door opened. A tall man in a dark suit stepped in. His presence was calm but powerful, the kind that made the air shift. His name was Michael Rossi, known in certain circles as the boss. People whispered his name with both fear and respect. That he wasn't your typical mafia figure, no flashy jewelry or loud temper. Just a man with sharp eyes and a quiet voice that could silence a room. When Michael saw his son, his expression froze. He walked slowly toward the table, every step deliberate. Rick's face paled as the man approached. "Tommy," Michael said softly, kneeling to check his son's cheek. "What happened?" Tommy hesitated. He hit me, Dad. But I think he's just mad. Maybe he had a bad day." Even after being hurt, the little boy's first thought was kindness. Michael's jaw tightened, but he stayed calm. He turned to Rick, whose tough attitude was starting to crumble. "Did you hit my son?" Michael asked. His voice was steady, not loud, not angry, just steady. Rick tried to laugh it off. "Hey, man, it was just a misunderstanding. The kid was staring at me, that's all." Michael stood there silently for a few seconds. The entire diner was holding its breath. Then, to everyone's surprise, Michael didn't yell. He didn't threaten. Instead, he said, "Apologize." Rick blinked. "What?" "You heard me," Michael said. "Apologize to my son." Rick hesitated, glancing around. No one dared to move. Finally, he muttered, "Sorry, kid." But Michael wasn't done. "Say it like you mean it." Rick swallowed hard. "I'm sorry, Tommy. I shouldn't have done that." Michael nodded. "Good. Now sit down." Rick sat. Then Michael turned to the waitress. "Bring him some breakfast." "On my tab." The woman looked surprised. "For him?" she asked. Michael nodded. "Everyone has bad days. Maybe a warm meal will help him remember to do better next time." The tension began to fade. Rick sat there, red-faced and ashamed, while the waitress placed a plate of eggs in front of him. Tommy quietly sat back down, his father beside him. "Dad," Tommy whispered, "you didn't punish him." Michael smiled faintly. "Sometimes kindness is the best punishment, son. It makes people face themselves." Across the diner, a few people clapped softly, not because of power or fear, but because they had just witnessed strength shown in the gentlest way possible, Rick didn't touch his food for a long time. When he finally looked up, his eyes were wet. "Thank you," he said quietly. I'll do better." Michael nodded once and turned back to Tommy. "See, son? Even people who make mistakes can change if someone gives them a reason to." As they finished breakfast, laughter slowly returned to the diner. The smell of coffee filled the air again. Outside, sunlight broke through the clouds, pouring through the window like a soft reminder that no darkness lasts forever. Rick left a big tip on the table before walking out, something he'd never done before, and from that day on, he was a different man. He started showing up early at work, apologized to the cashier, and even helped fix up the diner's old sign one weekend, all because one man, who could have chosen revenge, chose kindness instead that day. Everyone in that little diner learned something powerful. True strength isn't about how loud you can shout or how hard you can hit, it's about how much compassion you can show, even when you have every reason not to. Tommy's father could have destroyed that man's life in seconds. Instead, he rebuilt it with a single act of grace, and that's what kindness in action is all about, reminding us that every choice we make can either spread fear or spread love. So next time you see someone struggling, angry, or lost, remember this story. Offer them a bit of kindness. You never know, it might just change everything. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness in Action, where every story reminds us that kindness is the most powerful force in the world.